Thank you very much, Gavin. I'm sure that Game Boy is worth more than £40 now, just from rarity value. Right, I'm conscious of time. I know some people obviously need to rush off, but we have a few minutes for question and answer from anyone on our panel. I think you've heard from everybody except, of course, Anne Ducker, who I'm sure you all know as leader of South Oxfordshire District Council. They're all there to take your questions. The beauty of being able to chair this is that I can pass all the difficult ones on to them. So who would like to go first? Yes, sir.
Yes, particularly in regard to Wantage, you talk about increasing footfall. But isn't the more than doubling in population going to do that anyway? And so with regard to are we on? Hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you hear?
Yeah, yes. Okay. With regard to Wantage, you talk about increasing footfall, but I wonder about the massive increase in population is going to do that anyway. What thought have we towards improving sort of entertainment, leisure facilities, arts facilities in Wantage, rather than people wanting to go out to Didcot? Because I would see that as a must.
I'm certainly, as far as Wantage is concerned, indeed any of the market towns, we're conscious of all those issues. Wantage is expanding very rapidly, and I have a particular interest in seeing Wantage develop because I live there. I mean, one immediate thing that springs to mind is Wantage Civic Hall, which the council owns, and we're going through quite a rebranding process with the Civic Hall at the moment. We've very successfully introduced a one night a month cinema, which is taking off very well, and we hope to build on that. I think Matthew and I would both accept that Wantage Civic Hall has not been as vibrant as it might have been, and we're looking for ways to make that much more of a community hub than it has been. You're absolutely right in terms of the growth of the town. The retail and leisure facilities will need to grow with that expansion of the population. We have no immediate plans up our sleeves that I'm aware of. Adrian will tell me otherwise. But we're sure those will develop. Retail and leisure tends to be market led. They tend to look at what's going on in terms of building houses and then come and start talking to us about what they might do. And hopefully that will happen over the next few years.
I'd just add to that as well. I mean, we've got the Civic Hall, which David has mentioned. We know that the leisure centre in Wantage needs attention. We're investing some money to maintain the facilities there, and also looking at a potential new facility elsewhere in Wantage and Grove to provide better leisure facilities for people. And as David says, a lot of the growth in the town itself is market-led, but we are working behind the scenes with a number of operators to try and get some new business in, particularly on the entertainment side, as you say, because I think we've seen a shift not just in Wantage but across all our market towns and across the country, where people recognise that you can no longer say, well, your town must rely on retail. You need to have those other restaurant, cafe, entertainment uses to increase that footfall and keep people coming into the town. And you're right, all of our towns need to be competitive, not just against each other, but also the bigger centres such as Newbury, very nearby to Wantage, very attractive shopping centre, and we know we've got to compete with them. Sarah. Yeah, Sarah, can you do it and then go back there?
How important is leisure now?
Come on, leisure.
Sorry,
how important is leisure?
Well, it's very important. Commercially, there's as Matthew says, we need to recognise that, and Adrian's already said it, town centres are changing. We need to get a range of uses in their leisure uses in town centres, much more than we have done historically, where we've expected the town centres to be full of retail units. That's not going to be the case going forward. From our perspective and the council's perspective, we we attach a lot of importance to physical activity. We have certain responsibilities, legal responsibilities in terms of health and well-being that we need to pursue. As Matthew said, we're looking at a potential for a new leisure centre to replace the existing one in Wantage and Grove. But even further down the line, we're already planning for a new leisure centre in Didcot on the north side of Lady Grove, and the council set aside over £20 million to make that a reality within the next 5-6 years, hopefully. So we're certainly putting our money where our mouth is when it comes to leisure, and encouraging others to do the same.
I mention that because I have a leisure facility, and a lot of money and time has been spent over the last couple of years on ox trails, and yet a visitor turns at my venue, and it's not a big business, it's only seeing 25,000 local people a year, but they still can't have anything on my worktop that enables them to download the app for ox trails. They've got still no access to it. So it seems to me that a lot of focus is on town leisure, which I fully support, but the rural leisure, which ox trails was supposed to address, is still not actually getting as much promulgation as town-based leisure.
It's obviously a particular issue regarding ox trails, which I'm happy to pick up separately. But during my presentation, I tried to emphasise the amount of work that we put in terms of sort of tourism and leisure across the area. So not just on the town centres. It's yes, the town centre is an important part of that because people inevitably need places to eat and drink, etc., whilst visiting the area. But making sure that we have that broad information and that kind of inspirational activity list available to them through the southernoxfordshire.com website and through all the kind of trails and materials that we do. But I'm happy to pick up the particular issue with ox trails with you separately.
Thank you, Sarah, down the front.
What's the future of small business rates relief?
Sorry?
The future of small business rates relief?
Small business. Off the top of my head, I can't answer that. I'm sorry. I carry quite a lot of information around in my head, but small business rate relief is not one of them. But I'm happy to find out what we know from the experts back in the office and put something out. We can put some information around, can't we, Suzanne?
I think David can probably supply something specific, but I think what I would say in general terms, Sarah, is you may or may not be aware the government has announced a scheme, still details to be finalised, for rate relief for businesses affected by flooding as a recent example. I think what we've seen in recent years is specific schemes such as that being introduced to deal with specific problems, and I understand the Chancellor has announced a review of the business rates system itself, and I think that will hopefully what I would like to see out of that, and what I hear there may be inklings, is whereas with income tax, what the government has actually done is taken a lot of people at the lower end out of income tax, finding a way of allowing, rather than issuing a relief for small businesses, coming up with a new system which excludes some businesses at the bottom from those business rates, because I think part of the problem is a lot of small businesses, particularly in retail, but not exclusively, struggle doubly, because not only are they a small business dealing with business rates, but they're also competing against online retailers who don't have the premises to provide, and I think there's that imbalance which hopefully the system will be reviewed to correct. Yes, gentlemen. No. Just shout. I'll relay it if people can't hear.
One of the biggest barriers I come across is young people and their access to transport, particularly to rural businesses. You mentioned a lot about infrastructure, which focuses a lot around towns. There's a lot of rural businesses in Oxfordshire, and particularly in the south. Are there any plans to address the issue that young people might be facing in terms of getting to and from work, particularly around apprenticeships, which is a key factor?
Okay. So for those of you who couldn't hear, it's a question about public transport in rural areas, particularly for young people.
Unfortunately, the man who might have been able to answer that question has just walked out. David Nimmo-Smith, who's the Cabinet Member for Highways and Transport at the County Council.
You obviously saw the question coming.
Yes. But I mean, it isn't something that we at the district councils get particularly involved with. It is more transport is very much a function of the county council, and we tend to leave it to them.
I'm being told we've only got a couple more minutes, so probably our last question, gentlemen, halfway.
Hello. Yeah, thank you. I just want to get Gavin to talk a little bit before you end the Q&A session. I'm Kazmi Futsu. I'm the co-founder of Africanet. Maybe some of you saw Africanet on the list. Quite a little bit strange having a company in Oxfordshire named Africanet. Yes, we deliver high-speed broadband to businesses in Africa from our Oxfordshire-based station, where we connect to high-speed broadband in London and then deliver through satellite to all the businesses. We have a quite a similar path to Gavin. You know, we are quite a very small company. I discovered myself Innovation Center 7 years ago when I was setting up the business in the Oxford Business Park North, and we moved to Innovation Center ourselves, and you know, from there, you know, we find, you know, quite useful staff, you know, to help us to grow our business. We actually on a path of hitting you know, our 2 million turnover. So this is with about 8 staff, you know, so quite less than you. So this is very, very good. But the question I want to put forward to you is we find very difficult attracting a high skill and valuable senior staff without having the potential candidate wanting to break into the member of the board of the company because they feel they are experienced enough, you know, they can just make themselves and squeeze into the director board. We actually only 2, so like you and the other guys. So how you guys, how do you find this? How do you resist in you know, keeping your company, keeping the spirit of your company, and resisting to this guy by also, you know, having them to work for you and you know, having that 30% growth, you know, that you're having so far. Thank you.
What we've decided to do, again, is to try and keep a pull. We equally find it very, very hard. Sometimes we try to recruit ourselves. Sometimes we go to recruitment agencies. We just recently used Blue Stream Recruitment to hire our finance manager. But in terms of keeping staff and I suppose keeping them in their place, what we've decided to do is we now actually offer a share incentive within the company, because if somebody's got that level of drive, and if somebody's actually given you that high level of knowledge, maybe they should actually have some portion of what the company is achieving and what the company can actually earn. That we found was the only way to give them the futuristic buy-in, because a company, again, of our size, there is really no ladder for them to climb. If we hire a sales consultant tomorrow, if we hire a technical engineer tomorrow, he reports to his manager, the sales guys report to his manager. There is no higher level for them. But if they are going above and beyond, and they're overachieving, and they're bringing ideas to the table, which some of our staff do, we do actually introduce them to a share scheme. So based on what profits a company will earn, they will get a slice of that. And equally, if we were to sell the company, they would then get a slice of that too.
Okay, good. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you all for joining us. Just a couple of housekeeping points before we go. There are feedback forms in your pack. Please do fill them in and let us have your comments so we can continue to improve this event for next time. Also being parochial, there's details of Vale for Business. Any of you in the Vale, and indeed in South Oxfordshire, who'd like to join Vale for Business, you're more than welcome. And I'm sure if you didn't have a chance for questions, members of the panel will be around afterwards if you want to grab any of us for a quick chat. Thank you very much indeed.